Today, we're diving into an inspiring story of resilience, innovation, and leadership. Our guest is a remarkable woman who's not only entered a male-dominated field, but is thriving and leading the way for others. Her journey is a testament to the power of determination, skill, and the unique perspective that diversity brings to any industry. In this episode, we'll explore the challenges that she's faced, the strategies she's employed to overcome them, and the triumphs that have defined her career. We'll discuss how she's not just succeeding, but revolutionizing her field with fresh ideas and inclusive leadership. Her story isn't just about personal success. It's about paving the way for a more equitable future in business. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a professional looking to break into a new field, or someone passionate about workplace equity, this conversation will inspire you to push boundaries and redefine what's possible in your own career. Today, we welcome into the studio Hannah Vogel. Hannah is the owner of Vogel Roofing, and she's also on the board of the National Women in Roofing Organization. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I am really excited to have this conversation because I have always, since I've met you, been fascinated with the fact that, here you are in this, what used to or always, or still is, I guess, conceived as a man's world. It's a man's industry, right? What can you share with us how life got you to this moment? How you ended up owning a roofing company?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have told me that in college that I was going to be in construction, let alone roofing, I would have said you're crazy. Like, there's no way. But life's like that sometimes. Takes us on a lot of turns and tribulations. But basically, it started senior year of college. It was COVID time. This is just when COVID started emerging. And my plan was always to go to law school. I have some lawyers in my family, and that was kind of like the stereotypical thing to do, or, own my own business at least. Growing up, my dad owned a blueprint company in town, and he had a couple of those. So I knew I wanted to go the legal route. I wanted to own my own business one day, but I thought that was going to be way in the future, like 20, 30 years when I had already excelled in my career and climbed the corporate ladder, so to speak. But so COVID was happening, all my classes went virtual. And then I found out from some of the schools, hey, if you are applying for the fall for law school admissions, we're all virtual for the year.
Wow.
And yeah, it was very surprising. And the expense too, law school, college in general is expensive, but then once you start getting, into your master's or legal or medical field, it gets astronomical at that point. So I was like, for me, I know other people can do virtual learning, but for me, I was like, I don't even know if I want to be a lawyer, let alone do all my classes online. So long and short, I had a mutual friend named James. We had some mutual friends with each other. We had met, earlier that year, him and his wife, and he was an engineer. And he kind of pivoted too in his career because he was kind of sick of the monotonous engineering. He wrote reports and things like that. And he's like, roofing is pretty cool. I love hopping on roofs, doing these reports. It's fascinating to me. But a lot of the roofers I meet with, they're kind of skeptical people, some of his clients had gotten ripped off from people. There's those fly-by-night storm chasers. And he's like, I just can't believe there's such a racket still in Florida with these roofing companies. So he's like, do you want to do marketing with me? I don't really know how to do that. And I didn't have, a job at the time because my office shut down for COVID. So I was just kind of in this limbo period. And so I started doing marketing with him, and it actually started really well. We really worked well together. And he was very engineer brain. He liked, plugging in the numbers, doing the construction, the projects, but he did not like dealing with the homeowners as much, in the nicest way. But he wasn't,
customer facing.
Yeah, exactly. He liked being behind the scenes. That was his thing. So he's like, honestly, maybe we should just team up if you're interested. I know this seems kind of crazy. You probably didn't imagine owning a roofing company, out of college. But if you're liking this, I'll train you on, the construction side so you can learn that and we can just, kind of grow together. So that's how it started.
Wow.
Basically.
It started there.
Yep.
That's pretty wild. So how has it been? Like what challenges have you faced being a woman in an industry that is predominantly male?
I mean, honestly, there's been a lot. Like,
I'm sure there has. There's probably this podcast is not long enough to have all this conversation. But
well, in the beginning, it was hard because like I had to build that confidence because when you're learning a new skill, you're unsure of yourself. Like you kind of lack that confidence because just like the knowledge and the background, you don't have that yet. Time is what helps you the most. But we actually started from like knocking doors and handing out flyers. Like brochures and stuff like about our company. Yeah. Just like, hi, we're a local roofer. We just opened. Here's our information and stuff. And I don't know if you've ever done like door knocking, for
I have not.
It is.
But I'd be terrified.
It humbles you very quickly, because it's like you meet all kinds of characters. I mean, and like sometimes it does help being a woman because I think like seeing a girl at your door sometimes is less intimidating than like a man just standing there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like in some instances, I feel like it helps, but also it's like, you have to have a lot of confidence and like be willing to like accept rejection and get like a door slammed in your face.
Many times. It's like I've done telemarketing. So it's like
that's
that.
Hard too.
But at least I was hiding behind a telephone screen. I didn't have to be like door to door.
Yeah, I did that in college for an internship too, that, the cold calls and stuff. And that is more brutal. Intimidating than people think it is. So yeah, that was difficult because people were like, at the time they were so confused. They were like, is this your dad's company? Or like, who are you? Who is this girl? Like, is she selling us cookies? Like, what's going on? Like, so there was like a lot of confusion. But once I like, did my little presentation, our team would come and offer like, if you want a complimentary inspection, and then we'd put a report together for them. And so, they'd be very happy with that. And then the more like receptive they were and the more I started to learn, I would get more confident. But
of course,
just in the beginning, it was really hard. I mean, it's still difficult, getting people to take you seriously at times. And
are you still knocking on doors?
Not as much. Usually that was when we started like in the Panhandle area. I don't know if you remember Hurricane Sally like years ago.
I don't. Wow.
But we were called up there to help out.
Wow.
And yeah, we did that. And then, I mean, we'll do like flyers. We do more like mailing stuff. Like the laws are kind of different now with like door knocking and like HOAs too.
Oh my gosh, HOAs.
And it's like we don't want to like be annoying,
right?
Understand. But we do go to like businesses and stuff like that and give out our information. More of that than door knocking these days. But that was like just to get our name out there.
So thinking of the challenges, now, like I said, we could probably talk the whole podcast about challenges, but have you encountered any memorable, like one that really stands out, instance of stereotyping? Or you're a woman, what do you know about this? Do you remember specifically one that really stands out and how you overcame that, how you dealt with that?
I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago. James and I, it was about 3 years ago, but we were bidding on an HOA and the HO president just kind of didn't blatantly refuse to talk to me, but, I was in charge of like preparing his proposal for the HOA and everything. And, every time, like I would call to discuss it with him, he was just like, I want to talk to James. Let me talk to James. And it's like the same information.
Right.
And, those instances actually happened a couple times, but this guy I remember because he was very firm about it. And, I finally like had the confidence to say like, listen, like this is my job. James has a different job. And I kind of put my foot down and like pushed back a little bit because, I grew up like with different like ideologies about like how to handle clients.
Sure.
If you own a business, I'm sure you've like went through different phases of like
Many.
how you think about it. Like, yeah, because like, how they always said, like the customer's always right. You know what I mean? And like, as a business owner, you want to make sure everyone's happy with you, but that's kind of like an unattainable standard sometimes because you're dealing with all different kinds of people. So
Right. And throw in the fact that sometimes you're being taken advantage of.
Right.
As a business owner, you have to figure out what's happening.
Exactly. So that was an instance where he was just very firm, and I was kind of stunned a bit because for the most part, people are friendly. You know, we have really good clients. We're blessed in that way. But he was just like, why would I talk? Like, why am I talking to you kind of thing about this proposal? Like, let me talk to James.
Sure. And you kind of just held your own and put your foot down, like you said.
Exactly. And I think that's important in business because, like, you're right. Like what you just said about, like, sometimes like people do try to take advantage, and like you just can't give into that, you know, especially when it's like very unreasonable.
Right. Stake your claim.
Yes, exactly.
This is who we are. I know who we are. And some of that does come with the confidence piece, right? In anything that we're doing. If we're less confident in an area or we have imposter syndrome about something, then we kind of back away and we don't stake our claim.
Exactly. And I think sometimes with women, like I read a lot of like psychology books and things, and, you know, women like with the imposter syndrome and everything, like I think sometimes as women, like we doubt ourselves more.
Oh, yes.
At times.
And we need validation. We need somebody to tell us, which, you know, I think about that because I face it myself in my life, and needing validation to do something from someone, just when you say it, sounds so absurd, doesn't it?
It does.
But then it's up here in our head, and it doesn't sound absurd when we're saying it to ourselves.
Exactly. It's so like interesting to me how the brain works. Like when we have these thoughts throughout the day about how to handle things. Like, am I good enough? Like, is everything like running smoothly with the business? Are my employees happy? You know, and it's just sometimes we create things that aren't even there.
You're right.
Issues, you know.
We do. Don't borrow trouble.
Someone
said that to me once. Don't borrow trouble. I'm like, yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Don't make a problem where there is not a problem.
Exactly.
Now, being a woman in this industry, what unique perspectives and strengths do you think that you bring to your industry? And I bring that up because there's been a lot of studies done around women in certain businesses and innovation. And they've proven that companies that have women as leaders are far more innovative because we bring different skill sets. We challenge the status quo. We just have a different way of looking at it. So from your perspective, what do you believe that you're bringing? What strengths and perspectives are you bringing to your industry?
I'm really happy you asked this question because I was actually just talking to a girl I mentor through the Immokalee Foundation a few weeks ago about this. So one of my goals right now is obviously like keeping the roofing company going and everything, but I really like helping women and girls and like raise awareness for this industry that, like, you know, you can kill it in construction. Like, you don't have to be like on a roof, you know, with a hammer. Like, you don't have to like install flooring. Like, you have so many skills. I mean, you can do those things too, but like other skills, like she wants to go in to college for marketing, and like that industry too, like, you know, that's kind of untapped still with the construction industry. Like,
sure.
I didn't come into this business like as a roofer. Like, I came in, you know, trying to have a marketing position and like utilize like some very basic legal skills I was, you know, taught in college. So, I mean, I became one as things progressed and I learned, but I entered the construction world just, you know, marketing and trying to be, you know, James also said, you know, you're very social. I'm not. Like, I don't like being a social butterfly and like going to events and networking clubs and things like that. So, you know, I think, and I'm not trying to be sexist in any way, but I think women like thrive on organization. They're very personable. Like, and I've noticed that in the construction industry, like there are a lot of roofers that are amazing roofers or painters. And that's just what they do. But paired with maybe a woman who has opposite skill sets to them, you know, whether it be marketing, organization, social media, things like that, you can really elevate a construction company. So for me personally, I would say the marketing and just trying to build community relationships are my, platforms that I'm trying to like make into my business.
And when you bring in two different people, two different mindsets, guys have different ways of thinking about it than women do. That's where the magic happens sometimes.
Yes, exactly. That's where, like, especially in business, I feel like opposites really attract. Unfortunately, James passed away a couple years ago. So it's just me now. But he always said, like, I never wanted someone like just like me. Like if I ever like worked with someone, like I want someone who's completely different from me. And like, he never felt like he was pretty much a genius, but he never made me feel dumb. He always encouraged me and, gave me this confidence that I have now to be in the construction world. So
I love that. We should never be the smartest person in the world, in the room.
Exactly. That's what I say too, or you're in the wrong room.
Right.
And that's how we grow,
Yes.
And I think that's another thing, like in my industry, I don't know how it is in yours, but more, I guess it's kind of across the board, but like more seasoned people, it's like you can't teach a dog new tricks kind of thing, but you really can't. I mean, I've talked to some contractors who are like, oh, you do like social media? Like, I don't even know what Instagram is. Like, you get business from Instagram?
What?
And I was like, yes, like I promise, like you can. Like this guy who owns a painting company. And I was like just simple things like, record videos and things like that. But like, and then on the opposite, younger people entering the industry, I would suggest too, like, never be afraid to ask people questions. Like, and I think people in our industry really like that. Like, I'm sure like you would love it if like a young girl, approached you and was like, my dream is to own a store, a clothing store. I just don't like, where do I start kind of thing.
Right.
So
I love the fact that you mentioned some of these guys are coming to going, I can't, what? You have this on social media? The most interesting thing is that like all these YouTubers.
Yes.
I mean, and they're on TikTok too, but I watch my son who has a pressure washing business.
Oh, yeah,
he watches these people on YouTube for hours and is just fascinated by them. And I'm thinking, seriously? But that is where a lot of people get their information. They get ideas and, they're getting an education on there. And it's kind of, you have to look at it as, there's a new wave of people coming up and owning homes and buying cars. And the people that are stepping into buying cars and building homes and are going to need a roof kind of thing are people that grew up with cell phones in their hands, with YouTube and everything, Facebook and Instagram at their fingertips. So we're better 100%. To find people.
Exactly. And, I'm kind of like, my opinion on social media and like the YouTube and everything's kind of changed. Like I was kind of old school about it. Like I felt like a grandmother. I'm like, this stuff's rotting our brains. Like we shouldn't be like, but I think like we're in such a digital world right now with AI, social media, the YouTube videos. It's not going to stop,
right?
So I think we just have to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's used properly, I mean, your son probably looks up stuff to like how to make his business, but like improve business and things. Like you can learn so much. Like I've learned a ton of stuff on YouTube about like even different like manufacturers, like review videos and things they put out. Like there's a lot of good material. I mean, we pretty much can access anything from our phone.
We sure can. Absolutely.
So I think we just have to like use it,
intentionally.
Yeah, intentionally. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned something, you made the statement, killing it. How, and not, this doesn't has to necessarily relate back to anything revenue based, but tell me a moment where you felt like you truly had arrived in what you're doing, where you're like, yeah, I got this. I'm comfortable. Or was there not just one moment?
I don't know if I think there were like multiple little moments, but what I would say, what comes to my brain first is when James, because like, you know how it is starting a business, like it's a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears. Like you're pouring like your savings into it. Like you're just living on a dream, basically, you know, money's tight. And that's how it was for probably the first 2 years, you know. But we actually started working with the Wounded Warriors Foundation of Naples, and we were able to put on a roof for their Bravo house. And James and I, you know, did like the complete like inspection. We were part of the tear off and everything. And afterwards, like Dale Mullins, the man who runs it, you know, he was just telling someone about like our expertise and everything. And I think in that moment, I overheard him, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like we're finally in a position where had the funds to like help someone else, but also we were fully confident in what we were doing, you know? So I don't know. That was like a special moment for me.
How did that feel?
It felt amazing, honestly, because like I always wanted to do something where I could like help people. Like I don't know if it was like social work or doing like pro bono stuff. If I went to law school, like all I wanted to do is help people. And I think with the roofing business, when I started early on, I was like, how am I going to help people with like selling roofs and putting roofs, you know what I mean? But it's kind of like your mindset, you know, you have to shift your mindset a little bit. And there are ways like I was able to help people. So I think that moment I was like really confident, and I was like, you know, we did this.
And you made a connection. You made a connection of what you're doing to what you could do for someone else.
Exactly. And that's like what owning a business means to me, honestly, is like, it's not really the money or like the accolades or anything like that. But like if you help another person, or they learn something from you, or you like inspired them to like maybe take a construction class or something like that. I don't know. At least for me, like that's my like, I did it. Like I killed it moment, you know?
That's awesome. So since you started in this industry, which I know has not been, you know, super, super long, but since you started in this industry, have you noticed a shift in more and more women being in the construction industry?
I would say yes. I mean, it's tricky because even now with the construction industry, we're kind of like dipping. We're going this way with people, like young people entering the industry, and we really need people in general, not just women. But when I joined National Women in Roofing last year, I was very pleasantly surprised. I mean, we're not like a super large chapter, as you can imagine, but it's not just like women roofers, but it's like women who own like manufacturing companies, sheet metal companies, like suppliers, those kinds of things. One woman manages a whole crew. So she like manages construction sites, and that's another thing too women are great at. In the roofing world.
Because we're great organizers.
Yes. And we like to keep things, you know, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to be like
Neat and
sexist.
tidy.
Yeah. But like I've had both like supervisors on crews, and, you know, like in roofing, like, I don't know if you've watched like your roof got,
they've been all over my neighborhood.
Yeah. It definitely gets ugly before it gets pretty. But, you know, women supervisors, like they're making sure like, you know, nails are picked up like as it progresses and stuff like that. But there are guys like that too. But I'm just saying, I think women are a little bit more tidy. But finding those like niche groups like the National Women in Roofing, that showed me, you know, there are more women out there, because it's not really, I don't know, like you just don't hear about it that much.
You don't.
There's also a Facebook group called Harness and Heels.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Is that funny? And there's a lot of girls in there across like the US who kind of collaborate, and we just like help each other like when we need advice and stuff. So I've noticed through those things, but like everyday life, not really.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Just curious, because, you know, you see things shift, and we hear all about there's shortages in the trades.
Yes.
We hear all about that. And just wondering, you know, even women, we see that, oh, wow, I can go do something with my hands and my brain at the same time. And, you know.
Exactly. Well, and I was actually at FGCU a few months ago, and I was talking to someone who runs the construction department, and they said when they did like a presentation on the major to like freshmen or something, people only got interested when they like realized the demand and like the starting salaries.
Of course, right?
Because I think there's still such a big stigma with construction jobs, you know, like plumbing, like, I don't know, even myself, like when I was little, like you think like, oh, maybe a plumber doesn't like make that much money. Now
they kill it.
Plumbers are like the richest ones.
I know.
Like
it's crazy.
It's crazy. And I think like kids in college are starting to like figure out like, oh my gosh, I can go to trade school, you know, for 2 years. I can be an apprentice. Sometimes they pay you to go to school.
Absolutely.
And then you can make 100, like, you know, 80 to 100 grand out of college. Like that's a pretty sweet deal.
It is.
And then you can open your own company later.
Right.
So
and
I
you're
think
not going into with like crazy amounts of debt.
Exactly. So I think people are starting to figure that out.
I see a shift.
I do too.
I do.
And especially like what we were talking about with social media and AI and stuff, like that's still going, but the trades still have to go with it.
You're right.
It's not like that's going to take over.
There's not going to be AI coming to do your plumbing.
No, absolutely
or
not.
your roofing for that matter.
You know what's funny? I saw a YouTube video of this machine they're trying to come out with, like that you set on the roof and it nails the shingles in.
Oh my gosh.
And, you know, I'm sorry, I'm all about like working smarter, but like there's some things that we just have to keep,
right,
you know, humans doing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What strategies have you found most effective in your industry for building your credibility?
For building our credibility, like with clients and
like
everything.
With you specifically. You know, like I know you said how in the beginning you were just not really sure of how all the business went together and what was all entailed. And the more you learned, the more confident you became. Is that part of it? Is it mainly the learning?
Yeah, I think the learning. And then I've done something where like, you know, even when I was younger before, when I was just getting into college, like I'd set these big goals, like very big goals that would maybe be like years down the line. And I found like setting more like milestone goals as I go like throughout the year, that's been very helpful for me. You know, as far as like continuing education with like my licenses, like I'm trying to get my GC license right now. So I'm setting a goal for that.
Wow.
You know, by the end of the year, by the end of the year, I want to take my test. So things like that. And then you can progress. You know, I think it's kind of daunting, at least for me, having like all these like ambitious goals and dreams. And it's like, it's really the little things you do each day that matter, at least in my opinion.
I love that. And I would have to agree because it's not like, it's when people make their yearly resolutions.
Yeah.
The New Year's resolutions. That's what I'm trying to say. And how many people don't even get past the first week?
Right, exactly. It's like when you go to the gym the week after and it's like a madhouse. And then after a month, when February rolls around, it's empty.
Right. And that's why. Because they're probably too pie in the sky. But then the other could be said, well, if you don't have pie in the sky goals, then, you know, you're not going to achieve it. And it goes both ways. But I like the bite size.
Yes.
Bite size.
Exactly.
Goals.
Like, because even my test, for example, like the GC exam's like pretty daunting. And it's like, to me, it's not taking the test, like the big event. It's every day I put in to study, you know, the little things are the big things.
Building blocks.
Exactly. So
Literally.
I think setting building blocks for ourselves is really good. And, you know, as a business owner, I feel like we're so hard on ourselves. Like we have to give each other, like give ourselves some grace, you know.
And pat each other on the back and say, you got this.
Exactly.
It's all good.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's the validation. Exactly. Yeah. So looking ahead, how do you envision your role in shaping the future of your industry?
This is a big question.
It's a really big one. Okay. It's those big, hairy goals.
Well, okay. I'll answer in two parts. So my two large priorities is making the roofing industry like more innovative, maybe a little bit more like polished, maybe by using like different marketing and social media strategies and utilizing AI, not to put on your
disclaimer, not to put the shingles on your roof. That's not happening.
Right. But more of like a streamlined. Yeah, exactly. But if that happens years from now, I'm going to call you and be like, oh my gosh.
Guess what? We just got wrong. A bot.
But yeah, just streamlining the process more for homeowners, making it easier on them, just with like the roofing, insurance, construction process. Like it's a lot, to sift through. So I want to make that as streamlined as possible. And then just encouraging women, to enter into the industry and, not even just young people, to give it a shot. So I really like working with FGCU and like the Immokalee Foundation just to raise awareness.
Right.
So I think just like making the industry more innovative and like progressive with where we're going with social media, and then encouraging young people through education.
That's wonderful. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I have enjoyed our time together.
Me too. This was fun. I could talk to you all day.
I know. And we could literally, I'm sure we could do one whole podcast on challenges. If our guests would like to get a hold of you, Hannah, how can they do so?
So we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And then we have www.vogelroof.com.
VOGEL?
Yep.
Awesome.
So any of those.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again.
Thanks so much, Jennifer.